You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Despite the fact that Kevin Samuels is no longer with us, the simple fact is he left behind all of his teachings and all of his conversations. Now, there's a very good possibility that the reason why these losers who are part of the feminist arm of the media are continuing to attack him with the misogynistic claims and whatnot is most likely because they know that his YouTube and his Instagram and his Facebook are going to continue to be operational. Now, I never subscribed to Patreon or anything like that, but the YouTube content that he put up, as well as the Instagram and Facebook content, is still there. And because it's still there, it will serve as a continuous reminder that he existed and that this conversation that he started was being held. And it stopped abruptly with his last video, which I believe was called Modern Women Are a Party of One. What I recommend you do is you comb through his content, and anything that you think he said, any quotes, any jokes, whatever you want, at this point you should use a downloader to download it, and you should archive it possibly on a hard drive. And when you are basically getting his content in order to use it to make your content, my recommendation is you store as much of it as you can, as many important things as you think that you see as you can, because there's a very good possibility that some of these losers in the media are going to try to go after his accounts and try to have them all removed posthumously. So once you get what you want, Kevin Samuels always said that he didn't want people using his content, and that's because you had a lot of these losers on the internet who were just taking his content, running it, and then they were stealing it for views. But if you want to use his content at this point to react to it, as long as you do it within the fair use policy, you have nothing to worry about, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't mind if you were doing that now that he's gone. And considering he's gone, there's nobody to try and sue you. So as many of you do know, and as you've been finding out, Kevin Samuels was found basically unresponsive with a woman. And that woman was basically this one-night stand that he met. Now, I personally believe, based on the police report, that she was probably a Filipino. Between her name, Alcantara Hortensia, and the fact that they put that she was a native Hawaiian Islander or a Pacific Islander, instead of putting that she was a Hispanic or non-white Hispanic, I'm fairly certain that she was probably a Filipina, especially when I listened to her career, which was nurse. A lot of Filipinas get jobs as nurses, and a Filipina typically would have the background in the career. They'd also have this name, and they'd also have that body type. Because when I was seeing photos of what they were showing, because I actually, as soon as I saw the name, I went to Facebook and I looked at the Facebook. There was only one person named Hortensia Alcantara. I looked up the Facebook immediately because I figured that it would be possible for them to take it down. I didn't see any photos of her with Kevin Samuels, but that would make sense because supposedly she was only with them for like less than 2 days. So the thing about it is, just as the profile photos were taken down, it also stands to reason for me that these people could try to take down his content. But as long as we remember his content, as long as we use his content, as long as we use small video snippets that we can get away with and call it, fair use, they'll never be able to fully get rid of him. And that's the important thing to do. They want to think that this is over. They want to think that the conversation is over. They want to think that the weaponizing of the talking points by just about every new YouTube podcast that's come out, they want to think that's over. Well, I have news for you. It's only getting started. It's not over. Not only is it not over, it's not just getting started. It's only going to get worse. I've heard a number of people talking about who do they think is going to replace Kevin Samuels. In my opinion, nobody I've seen can replace Kevin Samuels. However, it is possible, considering that they are still alive and their channels are growing, that some of them could easily surpass Kevin Samuels. You know, he had 1.44 million subscribers, but that was only on YouTube. I think he had 1 million plus on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure he had at least 5,000 Facebook followers. But I don't think any of these dudes have the talent, the look, or the, how should I say, the discipline when dealing with these callers in order to really replace him. Fresh and Fit are the main ones that come to my mind. I haven't seen anybody else that could do it. Like, there's the lead attorney. Yeah, he's okay, but I find him boring to watch. There's Donovan Sharp. I like watching him every now and then. Yeah, he's okay, but again, he doesn't have what it takes. Then there's, Better Bachelor. He has an interesting show, but as he even points out, he has a face for radio and he has a voice for print. And the bottom line is, it's like, he's just, he's not Kevin Samuels. See, the important thing is that Kevin Samuels understood that the manosphere and all the rhetoric that was happening, he understood that none of that was marketable on a global stage. So therefore, what he had to do was he cleaned up the image. Now, a lot of these dudes that are on YouTube, these dudes with these struggle channels who come on, throw down some videos, and then end up having to delete those videos or end up having to hide those videos and unlist them. That's not going to get you to Kevin Samuels' level, ever. Kevin Samuels didn't hide anything, and that's one of the things that I actually respect about him. He didn't hide his subscriber count. He didn't hide his view count. He didn't hide his... because, you know, it's funny. YouTube allows most of these channels now, these struggle channels, to be really, really fake. If YouTube allowed them to hide the number of live viewers they get, believe me, they'd be hiding the number of live viewers they get. The first thing most of them do is they turn off their subscriber count. I actually did that as an experiment, even though I had surpassed, at that time, I had surpassed 75,000 subscribers. I did it as an experiment because I heard YouTube's reasoning say that subscriber counts intimidate people who come and watch the videos. They said that they wanted to see whether or not more people would subscribe to channels if they allowed the content creator to hide their subscriber count. Most of these manosphere channels hide their subscriber counts. Some of them don't, but most of them do, especially the specifically called struggle channels. Kevin Samuels never did that, and he could have done it, but he actually wanted everybody to see that his message was ringing out and it was catching fire. He wanted everybody to see that. He wanted everybody to watch him grow through 1 million subscribers. Not only did he go through 1 million subscribers, but he went far beyond that, 1.44 million. The vast majority of the struggle channels on Manosphere, even if you added their subscriber counts up, it doesn't even touch his, which I find is absolutely amazing. And that just lets you know that regardless what everybody was saying about him, regardless the lies, regardless the rhetoric that they were throwing at him, regardless all of the allegations that some of the jealous were making about him, trying to discredit him, because the reality is the Manosphere is a conservative-leaning space. The easiest way to try to discredit somebody is to try to make it look like they're a quote-unquote rainbow flag carrier or a quote-unquote fudge packer or a quote-unquote, a midnight golfer. When they want to try to discredit you, that's the first thing they do. They attack your sexuality and they attack your masculinity. The Manosphere is a hyper-masculine, conservative-leaning space. And if you don't fit into that, they definitely going to attack your sexuality. Now, if Kevin Samuels liked style and he liked that metrosexual bend style, that's his choice. But the bottom line is they can't paint him as anything in death. Besides, they could. I mean, I've noticed a lot of people trying to attack the female Hortensia Alcantara, and they're trying to say, oh, yeah, well, she's fat, and he said he didn't like fat girls. And she's nothing but an overweight OnlyFans model. And she's, oh, yeah, she's definitely not a size 4. She's bigger than you. Well, yeah, they're attacking all that. But listen, I don't give a damn if he had a secret fetish for big boobies and thick hips and stuff. I don't have a problem with that. The bottom line is Kevin Samuels died a good heterosexual death. Kevin Samuels died a good heterosexual death. Kevin Samuels died a good heterosexual death. And there's nothing they can do to take away from that. Kevin Samuels will continue to live on rent-free in these people's heads. As long as we keep up the video clips, small video clips that you can get away with claiming as fair use, as long as we keep up the memes, as long as we keep posting pictures just like this, every time somebody says something that's ridiculous or stupid, he'll never die. And see, that's how you martyr somebody. See, death comes for everybody. Everybody who right now is insulting the man, everybody who's making fun of his death, death is coming for every single last one of them. I actually really appreciate that because I love the idea of recycling the old and making something new. The earth recycles everything. Even when you get buried, your casket gets pushed into a subduction zone, forced underneath the ground by plate tectonics, and eventually it's going to melt. Everything's going to melt. Every city, every building, every house, everything's going to be pushed under and melted. And we already see that happening now thanks to global warming, which is flooding coastal cities and it's pushing them underwater. So the beautiful thing about nature and the system is that everything gets recycled. We're going to recycle Kevin Samuels. We're going to take what he was and we're going to create something new out of it. Now, I know they're not going to like it, and that's part of the point. So my thing is, I've been listening to a lot of these people talking about him and celebrating what they knew about him. It's funny because I really haven't seen many personal people talking about him and celebrating what they knew about him. I've only seen the people who he knew on YouTube and whatnot. I've heard a lot of good eulogizing, and I never personally met him and I never personally talked to him, but I appreciate what he did in this space. He tried to commercialize it. He tried to make it mainstream, and he got pretty far. I mean, when you get into music videos, you're part of that music video indefinitely. When you get these interviews with these celebrities and whatnot, you're part of that indefinitely. And now that he's done it, it can't be taken away from him. It's pretty much like a portfolio, and he did pretty well. I've had my share of stupid comments on my channel regarding Kevin Samuels because basically what it is you have the trolls who are running around looking up, videos in tribute to Kevin Samuels, and they're posting their stupid moronic comments. It's like sometimes you want to say really horrific things back to them in reply. A lot of times I have to kind of control myself because the things that I would normally say to them in their face in person, I can't say those things that I would say to them in their face in person on these goddamn internets because they have these fucking artificial intelligence systems that automatically scour the internet and flag stuff and seek to take things down based on certain levels of content. Because as you know, the internet doesn't believe in free speech. We have free speech in person, and I also have the Second Amendment to protect my free speech in person. For those of you who know me, you understand what I'm saying. But the thing about it is, usually it's the other way around. Usually the things that you type on a keyboard, you wouldn't say to somebody in real life. But no, I'm the exact opposite. I'm the type of person who'd say it to you in real life, and I'd never be able to say it on the internet because, my Facebook gets fucking blocked for 30 days at a time. See, when we're out in the street, you can't block me. There ain't no blocking me. You get blocked. But, that's just what it is. So Kevin Samuels did not invent any of this stuff. He was a logical consequence to a bigger problem. He was a logical consequence to watching men being feminized. He was a logical consequence to watching black families being destroyed. He was a logical consequence to watching the American patriarchy and family being destroyed. And all for what? A failing welfare state? Well, let me just say this in ending. The recession and stagflation are coming. A lot of you are going to be out on the streets. The welfare checks have stopped flowing. Bitcoin's $34,000. So I know it's fucked up. And the simple fact is, his voice is going to continue to live rent-free in your heads because you know every single thing he was saying was right, whether or not you wanted to hear it or not. And that's just that.